That,
Oh, yeah.
section, name this one before we start.
One moment.
It's not first time we've it's just.
No. Should be. There you go.
Thank you.
See if I can do a better job than I did a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, I named it. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. My name's Matt Spady.
Bailey?
Yeah, SPAETHE.
God, thanks so much.
Yeah, the property is at 15167 South County Line Road. I live in Hazle, Texas. I was reading I normally read every once in a while the agendas, and I saw the pamphlet for the emergency service. Sorry. The East Wise Fire Rescue District. And I noticed, and it kind of brought me full circle, because a few years ago, I did write to the city and ask to be de-annexed. It was when Ben was here, but when I tried to speak that night, it was a long night. I believe your wife was her first night. It didn't go very well. But I wanted to show I wasn't making this up. You can see, basically, I bought out here because I just kind of want to live in the country, kind of just want to be left alone. What I understand when it's developed, you do need some kind of city, just kind of start fighting together. I wouldn't want to live in a denser area and not have like all the city rules and everything. So I can understand that part. But so last time I was here, I was asking the city engineer, called me back the next day or next week and told me there definitely weren't enough votes. I believe Steve Meissner, he was actually ready to vote that night to allow me. But the issue was when I moved here, Denton County Public Works, the city of Fort Worth, the Weiss County Appraisal District, the title papers, the deed in the survey, there was no mention of New Fairview as the property being in the city limits. I did come in and visit New Fairview because the realtor at the time said, well, you can go reach out to all the cities, but I could never get the paperwork to show I wanted to understand how it was happening. So later, after about a year, I got the email that says, no, you were part of the incorporation. So that kind of changed things. So then I did hire an attorney, and we were working with the city of Fort Worth on understanding where their ETJ stopped and where New Fairview started. Because Fort Worth has that 5-mile ETJ boundary. And it appeared that Fort Worth had actually come up to New Fairview and stopped. My attorney was actually in contact with the New Fairview attorney. What I didn't know at the time is New Fairview was actually working something with Fort Worth to do this annexation swap thing, but never told us. And my attorney said they didn't have to because they weren't working for me, they were working for the city, but I just felt kind of bummed that here we were telling them exactly what we were doing and looking at, but they didn't share with us what they were doing. In fact, I had to pay for that attorney to come up and drive up from Austin to that night to the city meeting. And because at that time it was before COVID. So anyway, but so it kind of came full circle. I opened up and I saw the map, and you can see And maybe it's a good, I know Mr. Clemens has talked about response district before. And response times, I think maybe some of your families, maybe your wife, if you had had good response time from emergency services. I'm there in the lower right. I'm not in the east wide, Wise County. East wide fire rescue district.
You're in Benton County or you're in Wise County?
That's the other problem. My property splits the county line. So when you drive in on my property off the South County, for about 15 to 2,000 feet, you're in Benton County. And at the very last part before we can get to where I've got pad sites set up, that's where it turns into Wise County.
What's your address, please?
15167. So if on that one pamphlet that's got the big map, if you just.
Can you show me where you live, sir?
Yes, sir. You just turn it one page. I put a little star there where I am.
Would you guys like me to put it up on the screen?
Do you live in New Fairview, sir?
No, I live in Hazlet. I've got the pad sites started. I've done the moisture conditioning, dug down the bedrock.
Where do you pay your taxes to? Not New Fairview? Like, are you in front of PTJ or?
Well, no, so when they first put the taxes on, I was one of the properties they skipped. And then like 6 months later, they came back and said, "You Bill, then we made a mistake. You were in the city."
New
So
Fairview?
The Wise County portion is
Right, so you gotta pay property tax in Wise County.
for the Wise County portion,
Okay.
but not the Denton County portion.
What are you asking tonight, sir?
I just wanted to see and understand that, because when I was here 2 years ago, it was pretty much, I couldn't even talk to the mayor was talking to. It was hard to talk to. Let's just say it was not a good scene. So I'm just trying to show, hey, I don't mind being outside. Maybe where I am is best for Fort Worth response. I try to go to Fort Worth, emergency response where they got their fire stations. And they got quite a few, but their maps only show response times for areas inside their city. I couldn't figure out where Fort Worth would have covered out to the county or who covered out to the
You'd
county.
be in Justin. On the Benton County side, you'd be in Justin. Yes.
Okay, but how about the Wise County?
It's still being
It
adjusted.
is Wise County.
Probably wrong.
It
It could be wrong because Rome touches these flies fire.
So I'm just saying, if this is all true, Ben's whole arguments of being there in the city was, and allow me to be back in the ETJ while I live there, maybe someday when it wants to be like some kind of development or something takes place inside this meeting. I'll come to the city and let's talk, but, you know, right now, there's no, I don't see the benefit.
What? You came to the city first, time. You came here to want to be annex, right?
Yes, sir. I just understand.
And wasn't there something like, that, time when you de-annex, we allowed you to de-annex after a certain amount of time that you wanted to come back into the city, wasn't there something like that?
No.
I'll have to go back and find it.
Yeah, Ben just wanted to bring the Denton, he wanted to do it possibly for the development agreement and bring the Denton portion into at the time.
I don't think you're in the city, are you?
Yeah, that's
You're not in the city. You're in ETJ.
Yeah.
So how would you want to just annex if you're not in the city?
that's the whole problem. According to this, if you do go through the city of Fairview, incorporation, and you say it's all okay on the calls and meets and bounds, yes, the Wise County portion is in the city.
So you want it in the city?
It's possible, kind of like, Kennedy, was that her last name?
Yes.
Alternative house.
Oh,
Yeah, there's property on the north end of South County Line Road, north of B Judge Lane, where again, part of the property is in Denton County and part of it's in Wise County. The part that's in Wise County is in the city, but the part that's in Denton County is not.
I was under the impression that
So what's happened is that emergency response, I don't know what one follows it, but
right,
it follows Fort Worth ETJ shut off. It stops where Fort Worth and TJ did stop. But since then, Fairview did an agreement that's in the legal stuff here left. That agreement, they did that there's like 4 or 5 tracks, and one of them's 1,000 something acres. I'm part of that 1,000 something, I don't know that much, but in that 1,000 some acre spot, Fort Worth released me from their ETJ and then allowed me Fairview Fairview was saying, I wasn't there saying I should have been under ETJ to begin with. But that's what I was trying to find out is the history of it, to make sure that when Fairview did do the incorporation, where was Fort Worth's 5 mile boundary? Because they wouldn't be able to incorporate it if it had come up to that. Just like they had come up and drawn the 5 mile mark, so.
So what are you asking for from us tonight?
Well, either let me out or let's get this fixed.
You're not in, I guarantee you.
I'm showing he is.
How, we have property in the city limits that goes past, that road,
This,
4717, that curves back to the east.
right here is. It's that little.
John,
Right here.
it's not on the agenda, we're not supposed to be having this.
Yeah, well, that's it, I'm sorry. We got 3 minutes, thank you.
If you want, I'm happy to visit with you. And
Yeah.
we can go through
Maybe
this.
stop. Okay,
We get done on my associates, everything of our GIS.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Well, that's not,
Order that fast.
And for slow down, so go back, so. I don't.
All right, well, with that, we move to the consent agenda. All matters of the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion, and the item can be removed from the consent agenda by the city administrator, mayor, or any city council, member of city council, and will be considered after approval of the consent agenda. So we have A, approval of the August 2022 financial report. I make a motion to approve August 2022 financial report.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Then we'll move into new business. Discuss, consider, and act on an ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2022 and ending September 30th, 2023.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff does not have a formal presentation other than to remind the council that we had our required public hearing on both the budget and the tax rate last Monday. And we fall within the time frame that's required by state law for us to actually have the adoption consideration. Keep in mind, the contract we have with Wise County says that we are supposed to present to them an adopted budget by September the 15th. State law says that we need to make sure we adopt our budget before the first day in October. So we're still well within those two timeframes. Staff has not made any changes to the budget since the last discussion last week. So with that, myself and the finance director are here to answer any questions you might have.
Michelle, you have anything else for us?
Like the city manager said, no adjustments have been made since our last discussion on it, and it's up for vote.
Any questions?
Question under section 6 on page 4 of this document.
Page 4 here.
Yeah, section 6, effective date. Where it shows the council members and the mayor votes. That's the mayor listed.
I'm on page 4.
He only
Oh,
votes
yeah,
at
it's
the
the
end of
actual,
time.
Oh, on
The
the
actual
ordinance.
ordinance.
Sorry.
We'll probably put that in case there was he was going to be required to vote if there was some sort of a split. In other words, if there was not a council member here and we had a tie vote, then the mayor votes. So in case of that, then yes, his vote would be done.
Just curious.
But no, the rules don't change any for this ordinance, for this budget than any other vote of the city council.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or discussions? Do we have a motion, a motion?
I make a motion, Jack. On Orange, Cleveland. And adopting the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023, September 30th. 2023.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Supposed to be record vote.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a record.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Record vote. Right. We'll go down on Stephen King.
Aye.
Yes. Harvey Bird.
Nay.
John Passett.
Aye.
Walter Clemens. Aye. Jimmy E. Rosen.
Nay.
Team passes with a 3-2. 3-2. B, discuss and consider an act on resolution levying the ad valorem tax for the 2022 tax year rate at 26.261384 per $100 assessed valuation on the taxable property within the city corporate limits as of January 1, 2022.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, staff doesn't have a presentation. Our recommendation has not changed from last Monday's meeting.
Just a regular vote, Mayor.
No, sir. Second, we have a motion.
I move to approve an ordinance levying ad valorem tax for the 2022 tax year at a rate of 0.26134 for $100 assessed valuation on taxable property in the city's corporate limits as of January 1st, 2022.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, so we'll go down the list. Mayor Pro Tem Stephen King,
Aye.
Councilmember Hubbard,
Nay.
City Councilmember John Passett,
Aye.
City Councilmember Walter Clemens. Aye. City Councilmember Jimmy Dorsey.
Nay.
Passes with 3-2. With that, we'll move to C, discuss, consider, and act on a resolution ratifying the property tax increase reflection in the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a vote that's required by the Texas Government Code. It's just basically ratifying the budget that was just recently adopted by the council. And so that's also a record vote.
Michelle, I think last session you said that even though the rate went down, the state still sees it as.
Yes, they still see it as an increase. So because evaluations have increased. So because of that, and because the budget will be generating more revenue than the previous fiscal year, that's why you're required to ratify it again in this resolution.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have a motion.
I move to approve a resolution ratifying the property tax increase reflected in the budgets required by the Government Code 102.007C.
Motion, do I have a second?
I say.
Mayor Pro Tem Stephen King,
Aye.
City Councilmember Harvard,
Nay.
City Councilmember John Passett,
Aye.
City Councilmember Walter Clemens. Aye. City Councilmember Jimmy Dorsey.
Nay.
Passes with a 3-2.
During executive session?
Sir?
During executive session,
No, it's just a placeholder. We leave one there.
make a motion to adjourn to the council meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a second. We'll have all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
20 minutes? Right.
Thank you, all.
Thank you.
Sir.
We'll talk to Mr.
Record pass.
Hey, John, on the septic
Yes, sir.
system thing, I had to do it again. There is a system called. Each field. Might be better than the normal.
No.
You don't.
Hey, a lot more expensive here.
Yeah, me too. And then I didn't know.
Yeah, that's
I just know you think that's in the two sets of apples. On for asking a lot.
Bob's
That whole thing's messing me up. So,
I've been tied up. I wasted all the COVID tied up with trap legal prep with my sister. I drove it. Plus,
I just took mine in East Texas and it was $5,000.
yeah.
I tried to tell them.
This is a dead road. I don't know.
it's called. You know, I had a contract with the banks. Yeah.